next is the Lamborghini Countach.
Put your hand up if you think that the red Ferrari...
When the kids had covered every inch of the paintwork in fingerprints, it was time for the vote.
Right, hands up for the TVR. Who likes TVR most?
In 5th place was the Nissan with 5 points. 4th place was the TVR with 11 points. 3rd place the Ferrari. 2nd place was the Zonda with 16 points.
Zonda was second.
The winner is the Lamborghini with 41 points.
Excellent.
So, Jason, did any of those children go on about the environment at all?
No, you see, the thing is, when we arrived and we put those cars on the playground, we saw it, they came out of the classrooms and their eyes were like saucers. When we started it up, I mean, it was just, they just went to another place. Fantastic. And the strange thing was, it was the Countach. It was the oldest, the dirtiest car of the lot that fired them up the most.
Which could be bad news for the future, but not necessarily, because there is a way that any petrol car, the Countach, anything, can be converted to be more environmentally friendly. We're going to demonstrate with this. It's a Bristol clinking great V8 engine car, but it has been converted to run on LPG, that's gas, which is good news for the environment. It's cleaner burning, and it's actually cheaper too, and it doesn't cost a fortune to do it either.
No, you can convert pretty much any petrol engine for about £1,500. And the thing is, the gas is so much cheaper. When you've done about 20,000 miles, you'll have recouped the money you've actually spent on the conversion.
Great, so we all win. Us, the environment, everybody's happy. But there is a problem. The gas is only so cheap because the government has frozen the tax on it to keep it cheap. So whether or not to convert your car to run on gas depends on one thing. Do you trust the government?
Now, I'll tell you what, the funniest thing for me about the government is they recently decided to judge how much company car tax you pay on how much carbon dioxide comes out of the back. What a stupid thing. It's not a killer gas. Look, we've got this chart here, OK? And this shows where carbon dioxide comes from. 95.5% comes from nature. Do they go round taxing farmers for their flocks of cows? Do they tax Mount Etna every time it blows up? It's ridiculous. Only this little orange sliver here comes from man. And of that, 34% from power stations, people charging up their electric cars. And then you've got 14% from domestic use. Potterton's boilers, tax them out of business. Look what they're doing, because only 13% of that little tiny bit there comes from cars. Ridiculous. But we have the rules, and it's our job on Top Gear to show you a way round them. And that's where this comes in, OK? Lotus Elise. Now, this does 40 miles to the gallon. 40. It's in the same tax bracket as a Ford Fiesta. It is. So, it obeys the letter of the law perfectly. But the spirit? No, not even slightly.
This, of course, is the new Elise, which you can have with a normal 1.8-litre engine that's easy to tune and tinker with. But this version, the 111S, has a sealed-for-life 1.8 with all sorts of complicated trickery like variable valve timing. It offers up 156 brake horsepower, 0 to 60 in 5 seconds, and a top speed of 132.
So how come then it's so economical and so kind to the environment? How does it do that? How?
The key is weight. This car weighs less than the driver, so it doesn't need much fuel to move it around. Put it like this: you don't need a rocket motor to move a souffle.
Lotus never fitted the old Elise with electric windows, not because they were too expensive, but because the motors were too heavy. And they never fitted carpets either, and yet this one has the full Wilton, and air conditioning, and a CD player, and leather. So does this mean then that Lotus has sold out a bit? No. See these new wheels that they've fitted? Delicate, aren't they? Delicate and light. Specifically 6 kilograms lighter than they used to be on the old car. So even with all the new luxuries, the whole car in total only weighs 760 kilograms. That's about the same as a Mercedes headrest. And with the extra power in the boot, it should be even more fun to drive. Great!
The old Elise was described by many as the best handling car in the world, and initially, this doesn't disappoint either.
Oh, this steering is still just as good as ever. It's so delicate and so much feel. You could run over an insect and know just from the messages coming through the wheel how many legs it had. Was it a beetle? Was it a spider? Hang on. Spider. So what about the handling? Oh, understeer. Big understeer. Now, I know the old Elise was very twitchy, and some people were scared by that. So they fitted narrower tyres on this one to reduce front-end grip, but I don't think they've reduced it, they've completely removed it. Here we are, coming up to the hammerhead now. Okay, turning no power, and oh Lord! Have you ever seen understeer like this? Oh dear.
And if you do go mad and kick the rear end out, you end up facing the way you came, in a cloud of smoke.
So, on the evidence of what we've seen so far, not a particularly good car. But this is Gavin Kershaw. He's from Lotus, and he says there's nothing wrong with the car. The problem was my driving. So he offered to take me out on our track and show me how it should be done. So you're the chief chassis man at Lotus?
One of the principal chassis engineers, yeah.
And you live in Norfolk?
Yeah.
So you got a girlfriend?
I've got a girlfriend.
How many wheels has she got? Well, I was going to say how many legs has she got?
Same
Well,
surname.
I couldn't make it do that. How are you doing understeer?
You have to be very gentle with it and just defy physics. So we're coming down this corner, braking on the brakes, then just flick it in, then lift,
And not flat out through here. Why have you made it more understeery than the old Elise?
Because we're selling 3,000 cars, we have to cater for all drivers. But we make the chassis, so if you do know how to drive, you can just play with it.
I could vomit on you now, actually. I'm really considering vomiting on you.
Okay.
I could go off, people. I'm really quite impressed and actually quite depressed at how I couldn't do that and how you can. Oh, we're going around that hammerhead corner again. Oversteer in, oversteer at the second. Oh, close to the tyres, man. Can we go home now? It's not big and it's not clever to drive like that, is it? Are you impressed, girls, with driving like that? You are, all right. Well, move to Norfolk then, they all do that. The thing is, though, I don't live in Norfolk. I have a life. So how do I kill the understeer if I were to buy a car like that?
We can supply optional bigger front tyres, so even you won't get understeer.
Really, you can buy, you'll sell me big tyres.
Yes, big
that will
tyres.
solve it.
Yep.
Brilliant. So all we need to do now is see how fast it goes around our track. Unleash the Stig. And he's off. Of course, for the Stig, oversteer and understeer are not really the issue. To get the best time, he needs to keep it nice and tidy. And here we are into the first corner. Look at that. Even in the wet, it's smooth as silk. Look at him, really enjoying the Elise stereo here. So, here he is at the hammerhead. This corner was designed by Lotus, so the Elise should be good through here, and it is. None of the slithering about we had from the Honda NSX last week. You know, this car is on for a seriously fast time. I mean, really fast. And look at the Stig, he's hardly having to work at that wheel. It's all so easy. If you know what you're doing, this is such a well-balanced car. So, for the 5th week on the trot, the Stig had to go around in the rain, but the time he set was astonishing. 1 minute, 35 seconds. That's the same as a Ferrari 575, and it only has a 1.8-litre engine. However, let's not get carried away. It is not the most environmentally friendly car that money can buy. Because that is. Jason, Richard, do the honours. This is a Peugeot 607. And the reason why it's so green is simple. It's awful. It's dreadful. If you bought one of these, I guarantee you'd never drive it anywhere. Right, now it's time to put a star in our reasonably priced car. He has been on top of the pops 105 times, but now he's on top of the gear. Ladies and gentlemen, from Status Quo, Rick Parfitt. Come on. Have a seat. Now, you're not the ideal guest to have on an environmental week, I have to be honest.
No, not really, no.
We went through some of your singles and hits over the years in the office last night. We didn't find a single environmental lyric in any of them.
No, none at all. No, it's just about love and stuff like that, and kissing and all that sort of dopey stuff, you know.
Yeah, well, and it sells.
It certainly does, yeah.
New album,
Yep.
Heavy Traffic.
Yeah.
Inspired by this, perhaps?
Aptly named, isn't it? Yeah. No, it really wasn't inspired by anything, really. But, I mean, this is unbelievable, isn't it? I mean, when it first went in, I remember thinking, you know, because it's a bottleneck anyway, isn't it, going into Heathrow?
Yeah, Europe's biggest city.
To put that in there, and to take a lane away from us, I think it's disgraceful.
Of course, this is the M4. You've had some bad times on the M4, haven't you?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I had a bit of a shunt on the M3, actually, it was, yeah.
It was the M3?
Yeah, and it kind of changed my whole view about driving. You know, I kind of became sensible after that, and I kind of stick to the speed limit and stuff now. I'm a bit boring, you know, but it's like a cup of tea after a concert. We have a cup of tea and go to bed, you know, it's real rock and roll. But I do. I feel these days, you know, a licence is a precious thing. It certainly is to me, and I know it is to a lot of other people. And, you know, I really don't want to lose it anymore.
Yeah,
I've lost it three times.
Three times?
Yeah, and in great circumstances, you know.
Really, were they?
Well, the last one certainly was, yeah. I was sort of doing an estimated 120 miles an hour down the M3. I don't know what speed I was going because I was actually asleep.
Is that when you stuffed it?
Yeah, I was very lucky. I think had it been in anything lesser than a Porsche, I think I probably wouldn't have been sitting here now, but I was very lucky. It kind of spun. It was like 4 o'clock in the morning, and so fortunately nobody else was around and nobody else was involved. But I ended up in a field and just sat there merrily sleeping, you know. I didn't wake up at all.
So what was it that first turned you on to Porsches?
Well, I had a Mini, a Cooper S in the early days, which was one of my all-time favourite cars, and still is, you know, with the twin tanks. I'm really rather brought down, actually, with the new one, with the new Cooper S, that it hasn't got the twin tanks.
No, like Jags should have twin tanks.
Well, I agree, a common tank, yeah, it would be great. However, I was sitting on the lights on the A3 when the A3 used to have lights, and it's a complete straight piece of road. And the Cooper S, I'd had it kind of bored out and shaven, and the Recaro racing seat, the straight through. You know, it was a real tool. So this thing pulls up beside me this night, and I'm really, you know, looking forward to this burn away from the lights, and this thing just went away from me, and I had no idea what it was. And I later found out, I caught it up at the next set of lights, and it was a Porsche, and I thought, got to have one. And luckily enough, I've been in the position where I could afford a Porsche, and so I got one, and I had 10, 11 of them since then.
11 Porsches?
Yeah.
Are you still on them now?
No, I'm not, because since I had the accident, my mum, bless her, she's passed away now, but she said, for Christ's sake, don't buy another Porsche. And I haven't. I've never had another one. I've never driven another one. 7, 8 years now since I've driven a Porsche.
Didn't she ever say, why don't you give up the booze and the drugs? Just probably that was causing the accident more than the car. Just a thought.
She was a sensible woman, my mum. You know?
Anyway, of course, the reason you're here is this. This is
right, yeah.
our Suzuki lap times.
Yeah.
You've been out there, you've had a go. How did it go?
Well, I mean, it was great fun, actually, you know. Just,
would you like to see how you did?
Yeah, I would.
OK, everyone, here we go. Play the tape. Rick Parfitt in a reasonably priced car for the first time in 30 years, and you're off. It's a dry track.
It started out dry.
It started out dry.
Yeah.
How is this coming up to the lights on? Smooth. Oh, what was that?
What was it?
What was that noise I just heard from... You broke up. Ooh.
Probably broke wind.
What are those gloves you've got on, man? They've got Jason King holes in the knuckles.
No, and they're from Harrods.
Well, here we go. Across the line after this corner. Ooh, quite sprightly.
It felt so much faster than that when you're in the car. I mean...
That was quite fast.
It felt
I've got the
so
time.
fast.
Now, these are the times we've had so far. Dry track. So really, we can sort of say these are Tara 154.
Yeah.
This Ross Kemp 154. Jonathan Ross.
Yeah.
Pathetic, frankly. You.
I'm quite nervous about this.
Ready? Rick P, because we're not going to get it on. 1 minute.
Oh, well, this has been the one.
52 seconds, everybody. He's not going to be happy.
Yeah, that's great.
He's not going to be happy, isn't Coogan?
I'm very pleased.
But the thing is, everybody, it wasn't an entirely incident-free time you had out there, was it?
Not entirely, no.
Who would like to see what happened? OK, can we play that? Let's watch Rick coming through the second to last corner and... Oh, no, Oh, no, there's more. Back on. Across the line sideways. Beautifully
I did
done.
actually see one of the camera crews when we were out on the far side of the track, and I think it was on the fastest lap I did, and as I'm approaching, you could literally see them sort of going like that. Whoa!
Extraordinary thing is that nearly every celebrity has been off on that corner, and the crews have now learned.
Yeah.
The director goes, "Could you cover that corner?" No. Who's coming this week? Rick Parfitt. No.
Definitely not.
Definitely not. Ladies and gentlemen, Rick Parfitt.
This week's Insider Trading News. Now, a couple of weeks ago, we promised that you would be getting some cracking deals on new cars. Now, you remember, we talked about the Suzuki Liana, not 9995. A dealer emailed us, said it was 7995. The fight is on. This week, I was emailed by another dealer, Fiat Stilo, the 1.6 Active 5-door car. That car normally is 11,700 quid. Have a guess what they're offering that car at.
I've no idea. 10.5.
7,995.
It's an insanely reasonable
That's
price.
£4,000 off.
That's a big saving.
Now, quick question. You know this. What's the cheapest new car you can buy?
Well, Jason, it's the Peridua Elise at 4,999.
No, wrong.
Oh.
This week, I was offered a brand new Ford car for 4,995.
That's fantastically cheap. So
Yeah.
that's like £4 cheaper. And
Yeah, but that car new normally is 6,600 quid. And when they brought the car out in, when was it, 3 or 4 years ago, it was 8 grand, didn't have power steering. That car now is 4,995.
why?
Well, basically, we said it before, the dealers have got targets to hit. And the way it works with Ford is that they give a retrospective bonus. They give you a percentage on all the cars you've sold.
Oh, right.
Now, if a dealer's got a target of 1,000 cars, they could stand to lose tens of thousands of pounds if they don't get that target.
If they don't sell all of
If they
those
don't
cars.
sell all those cars, they're going to miss it could be £100,000.
So the last few...
Yeah, sell them at a loss. They're actually selling those cars at a loss. Now, the minute they hit those targets, fine, they won't care anymore, and they'll put them back up. 4,995, that is seriously cheap, but I got an even bigger discount this week. The Suzu Trooper, big car, they're bringing some new ones out next year, and they're also got a few of the old ones in stock. Now, those cars need to be registered before the end of this year because they don't hit the emissions targets for next year.
So they what, literally couldn't register them in this country?
Exactly. They'd have to send them back. Send them back to the factory.
Bargain
now,
round the corner.
3.5 V6, citation, proper car, 7 seats, metallic and a tow bar. I'm selling it to you now. That car normally is £27,000.
Yes?
18,995.
Reef, that's enormous.
Brand new out the box.
And that's because the dealers are stuck. They
Same
are
thing. There aren't that many of them around, but if you go into a dealer and find one of the current models, register it before the end of the year, you will get a storming deal on it.
Right, well, earlier on, Jeremy introduced us to our various men of faith. And this is it. Now it's time to find out just which is the fastest faith. It had been raining, but now the sun had come out, which you'd kind of expected to with this lot around. And the track was drying, and that was a good thing, because this was the car they'd be driving. The car, well, it's based on a Subaru STI. But then there's a little bit more to it. It's been modified. It's got a performance engine, suspension, exhaust, the whole lot, really. Over 330 brake horsepower, 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds. It's brutal. This is a proper rally car. They're going to enjoy this. But only after they'd received guidance from the Prince of Darkness himself, the Stig. First to go for the Hare Krishnas was Mark Lee.
3, 2, 1, go!
And he gave it everything.
Oh, yes! What a lad! Now that's surprisingly aggressive.
He's a little bit nervous because it's a powerful car.
It is.
But, well, hopefully, in the back of his mind, he'll be kind of calm.
Right, well, let's give him that support.
Absolutely.
I can't believe you came in the group. That's great. Although he's going well, this is some pretty committed driving. I just want him to make this corner. Yeah, he did it. Oh, oh my word! He's gone! Oh my word! What?
Next up, Rabbi Pinny Dunnup, the 2CV crasher.
3, 2, 1.
Due to the rabbi's lack of experience, the Stig had offered to act as co-driver on his timed lap.
Putting him to big interdenominational support, maybe, because he's
Come on, Pinny.
Come on.
But the collective goodwill of all the religions wasn't enough to keep him on the racing line of righteousness. So could Rigzin, the Vajrayana Buddhist, do better?
I should make it clear that I have never done anything like this in my life, ever.
His elders had instructed him to drive at the speed of light, and he was taking them quite literally. Even the Zen master's stick was impressed. But would he be impressed with the Bishop of Lewis?
Much better.
Next up, the hot favourite, the Reverend Anthony Felton White from Revelation Racing.
Go!
And he didn't disappoint.
Second gear. Apex this one early. Get it in. Get it in. Get it in. Push it hard. Who's got the nerve? Who's got the nerve? Hard on brakes. Hard on brakes. Take it in. Take the bend early. Take the bend early. He has kept it in. Look at that curve. That's it. Ah! That was scarily good.
A truly biblical lap from the Church of England, but the Roman Catholic Church was equally determined.
Go! That looked committed. He means business.
Now I have the results here. But before we get to that, this is the car they were driving, okay? We told the people we borrowed it from they were just a few vicars, couldn't possibly come to any harm. Look at this. Look at this down here, and look what happened underneath. Smashed off and broken. So, which one of you lot is responsible? Come on, own up. The bishop! The bishop is responsible. Now, who would like to see how he did it? Play the tape. Oh! Well, there we are. How do you feel?
Unrepentant.
Very good. Right. Time for the results. Richard, will you care to join me?
Oh, yes.
In last place, and sadly not here, at work, Mark Lee from Harry Krashner, as it's now known. 1 minute, 56 seconds.
In fifth place, Rabbi Pinny Dunner, you did crash. I mean, how surprised can you be? With 1 minute, 55.
In fourth place, from the Buddhists, it's Rigzin. Forgive me for being abbreviated. Well done. 1 minute, 45 seconds.
And then in third place, despite ruining the car that we borrowed, Bishop Wallace Ben, Church of England, of course, 1 minute, 42.
So, last two, it's a straight two-cornered fight between the Roman Catholic Church and the Church of England, and it's the 16th century all over again. The Catholics come in second. Thomas Ivan Thompson with 1 minute 40, which means the winner, the fastest faith, is the Church of England and the Reverend Anthony Felton White. And Jason is pretty much the end of the show. Looking at the bus lane. No, still nothing going on there. I think next week we won't bother doing anything to do with the environment. In fact, I think we might kick a couple of barn owls to death just for fun. In fact, we're going to be doing drivers' cars. 400 horsepower is the minimum level for entry. We're also going to be turning our Suzuki Liana into an Arga and a Lada into a Lotus. See you then. Good night.